All right, let's start this review. Anyways, let's go with Trony. If you want to get her and MLB her, get this wallpaper. That's it. But here's the TLDR: don't pull. Just in general, just don't pull on her. What's a skill recommendation? 111. You keep her at 111, or 4410, or you can get it to higher 7 on the skill 1 and skill 2 if she has like high elemental or she is very invested, or you're simp. Anyways, that's stiff status. I like, honestly, in terms of overload, 4 times attack, 4 times ele, and at least 2 ammo or more, and crit rate, crit damage, charge speed, charge damage. Those are all it's varying. It's up to you how you want to play her, but they're all optional as well. But it can be anything from there. And then the cube would be resilience. TLDR, that's how you build Trony. And the themes, I'll just TLDR it also. You have the Crown Naga, Standard, Tia Naga, and the bunnies with litter, and the Dorothy with privity, and then it doesn't really matter. You can put her in almost any team where you need a burst street user. But okay, let's start off with for this one, the burst one can be anything. Like, really, D works, volume works. It's really fine. Litter works the best, just in general. But let's be real here. She's pretty much like really the best buffer out of almost like any unit. D can work even though she doesn't buff the charge damage or the spears damage, but she's still fine because she does have like a damage buff over time. Now, anyways, TLDR, that's how Trony is built. So if for those that wants to just get Trony information, that's it. Now for the rest of this video, I'm gonna talk about why this is the case, why you shouldn't pull for her. And all right, let's start off with this. Okay, so start off with how her mechanics work, right? I've already explained it in the previous video, but this is just to confirm it. But the first shot will give this debuff sort of to that enemy. It's not, or the Trony bomber, and it starts off at 0%. And keep in mind that this 0% starting off is pretty crucial. The reason why she's kind of bad. And then any subsequent attacks, it will accumulate. So this one, it became 31%, and then became 63%. Then after 5 seconds since the implementation of that bomber, it will explode, and 63492. As you will notice here though, my constant damage is 63492 on each attack, and I only hit it twice. So right there, and then the damage is 63492 because I did the initial attack and then 2 attacks that accumulated the damage. And since she's only accumulating half of the damage that she does every shot, what happens there is she ended up getting a burst damage that's 63492. Now, why is this important? That is just the basic when she doesn't have her skill 2. With skill 2, and I'm gonna show this again, and I'll show it again. See, it's 63492 again, but this time it's 24% instead, and then 48%, and then it's gonna explode, and then it's 63492 again. So the damage that I ended up with is actually the same, regardless whether she had skill 1 or regardless whether she had the skill 2 buff or not having the skill 2 buff. Why is that the case? Because what skill 2 does is it increases the damage cap, but not the actual damage itself. Why does this not really matter? It basically means, because in my first video I did talk about how that skill 2 has potential to increase the damage a lot more. No, not really. If you cannot reach the damage, upgrading skill 1 and skill 2 actually doesn't really matter if you never reach the damage cap that it is providing. So just in general, for the most part, for a lot of people, if she is not bursting, you're probably not gonna reach that damage percentage. So primarily whenever she's bursting, that's when the skill 1 and skill 2 will start mattering. Now here's the thing, right? So upgrading the skill 1, if you're fast charging, skill 1 and skill 2, if you upgrade skill 1 and skill 2, it increases the damage cap that you can do. But if you're fast charging, it's generally actually almost possible to reach that damage cap. So just to give you the example here, I have this. So this is where I just kind of full charge in this situation when, all right, let's see how the full charge damage here. I did the 1 damage, so I can get 2 shots or 3 shots, and then it starts exploding. So I managed to get 3 shots in initial shot, and then 3 shots in, and then it exploded at 3, 4, 7, 8. That's the final damage. Now if I do a fast charge gameplay instead, where I do a full charge first and then fast charge and then fast charge again, and I managed to actually pop it. So in here I managed to actually pop it right there. And it exploded, which is the damage is, I ended up with more damage than fast charging, and actually I ended up with 36% more damage, but that is not during bursting. If you're bursting, that full charge could actually end up being equalized because of, if it depends on if you have enough damage to one shot, because it is possible that you have, whenever you're full bursting, you could end up just needing to do 1 shot. It's really hard to reach that damage cap. It really sucks. So that's why for the most part you primarily just need this burst rather than the skill 1 and skill 2. But if you have higher elemental or other buffers that could help her consistently get that, even when she's not bursting, even let's say the other burst tree is bursting, then it is something worth to consider to upgrade her skill 1 and skill 2. On the plus side, if you are a Trony simp and you really like her, you like the feat thing, then you could probably just settle in with the 4-4-10. So the gameplay is very weird because now you have to do a full charge and a mix of full charge and fast charging. However, at the very least, when I was like testing it, in general, I did try to do a full charge and fast charge, and then just a situation where I just full charge. And I was actually kind of performing better when I was just doing a full charge. So I was like doing 441 mil here when I was like manually full charging, and then like 423 when I was doing a mix of full charge and fast charge. And I think the reason for that is because it's a lot easier to get into the groove or the rhythm of just like manually full charging. But in theory, if you can perfectly execute that, it is better to do a full charge and then a fast charge, right? Like if we can like just look at it from this perspective. But trying it in actual like full 3 minutes, I found that just purely full charging kind of ended up being better. And then I tried to also think about it, what if I just let the AI do it? Actually, if I just let the AI do it, and this is me manualing with another sniper. So I was like, in this one I was manualing with Haran, and then I was letting Trony auto hit here, but letting Trony auto with pretty much like the same team, she was doing less damage. She's 369, so it's still better if you manual her. So the best way to optimally play Trony is to manual play her. But the question is, do you want to do this situation where you're you're doing a full charge and then a fast charge, doing a full charge and then a fast charge, and then like you have to constantly do it for the rest of the 3 minutes fight? I'm just telling you right now, it's really ridiculous. I want to do it, and hey, if you're fine with that, so be it, right? But yeah, how does her damage compare? To give you the TLDR version, she barely is equal to 2B when you're manualing her, or slightly higher than 2B when you're manualing her. So 2B's damage, when I try to equivalent to make her damage equal to the same elemental as my Trony, her damage is probably pretty much roughly equal. But that is at the expense of manualing Trony. If you auto with Trony, like if you're controlling someone else, let's say if you're using her with Alice, for example, and then you're manualing with Alice instead, and then you're just letting Trony do it, well, you're gonna perform worse, and she's gonna perform worse than an an AI 2B. So in practicality, if you want to take full advantage of Trony, you have to manual her, and she's just barely surpassing 2B in an ideal team for her. In a team where it's actually not ideal too much, or let's say if we use Elegg, so I had a volume Elegg, Trony, and 2B. 2B does better. It's just flat out, she just does better. So my 2B does 253, and then Trony was 191, and that's with me manualing Trony. I was manualing Trony there. Okay, so it's like I don't even like, let's not even put I don't even know what to say. And then I used Scarlet. I tried to use Scarlet on a fire elemental advantage. So basically, this is Scarlet, and I tried to neutralize Scarlet's attack to be the same as Trony, and she would just. My Scarlet is doing the same damage as a 47% Trony elemental. Yeah, this Trony had a 47% elemental. I have a 47% elemental. So just use Scarlet or something. Yeah, it's like, why? Like, why put all these effort? And she's like, she has a lot of investment. But obviously, to be fair, okay. Side note, it was a 10-4-7. Okay, sorry. Context, it was a 4-4-4 Trony versus it was a Scarlet with 10-4-7, and I tried to equalize the attack so that, because this Scarlet had had extra cores, so I tried to lower it down to equalize the attack to be the same as Trony. But even then, right, like, why would you put where she's just barely surviving, barely doing enough damage? And if I try to normalize it, remove the one, because with the cube also and benefit, it's actually 1.58. So if I remove that, so in a neutral situation, Trony would have at most done like 110. Yeah, so I wouldn't really even use her outside of her elemental advantage. And another thing is, even if you try to put her on a boss with no core, her damage just significantly suffers, because you're not reaching the damage cap a lot more often, and so the damage just will significantly suffer compared to a boss that has a core. So if the boss doesn't, so the boss that has a core, it was doing 434, and I tried doing with no core on Altizen, and see, the reason why this is also roughly the same damage is because 2B here did 292 mil, and on the boss that has score 306, so roughly on these both bosses they did the same damage. But without core, Trony's damage goes half. So with core, she was like doing 434 at 111, but then when the boss doesn't have core, it's like half the damage. Yeah, because you're just reaching the damage less. So, and she's just worse than 2B in that situation too. Because my 2B with the elemental damage neutralized, if I had the same elemental also, it's like for 4 So it's like, again, just don't pull for her. Like, if you want get her, but it's not worth your resources. Don't, like, if you want for fire elemental, even I was hoping that even for fire elemental she would be used, and maybe she might be used for team like restrictions, but we have so much fire unit right now that even on like solo raid there's so many alternatives that you can like, you don't have to use her. Like some people would probably even use like Nihilister if there's like a peer situation, that they would use Nihilister for the damage. Some people even use Yunwa and they just fast charge with Yunwa. They had like a high elemental on Yunwa, and that's another thing. And with solo raid situation, you need 5 fires, right? Because of 5 different teams. You have Modernia on one team, you have Alice on another team, you have D on another team, and possibly Miranda on like a Snow White team, or yeah, and Nihilister on the Dorothy team with the Privity. So that's 5 right there. And then there's also Yulha. Oh yeah, I totally forgot. Yulha also exists. And then there's Sakura also for the cooldown reduction. Like basically there's so many other options for fire that you don't need to use Trony. And at best, you're going to be investing a lot of skills on her for a mediocre performance. We all know how 2B performs just in general. She's basically a team 5, and really the main reason why we could use her is also she's a tank. Trony doesn't provide anything else to the team, and yeah, like this defense down is pretty much negligible. There's like nothing that is being provided here. It's just not worth right now. And especially the most investment that you're going to be using is the burst skill, and that is a very expensive investment. You know, if it's like maybe just skill 1 or just skill 2, maybe those are something worth, but the burst investment is pretty expensive. Like how many units do actually needs burst, right? Like you have Litter, you have Maxwell, you have Alice, Red Hood, Summer Niece, Snow White. There's so many other units that have burst. So yeah, anyways, I won't say anything more on this. If you guys have any other questions, just ask me on stream what are my other thoughts, but I'll just stop right there. It's just not worth it. I tried, I upgraded on my main, and I upgraded on my alt, and I tried with Elegg, I tried with the different supports. It's just like even with Elegg, it's like it's not even work. I tried to make her work, did like 3 days of testing.